contact. All right, what's going on, everybody? Happy Wednesday. You know what time it is? It's 11. Well, actually, we're here in Central Time today, so it's 10 a.m. our time, but it's 11 a.m. Eastern Time is when we have this live stream. We're gonna really teach you guys some game, especially for the ones that are buying and holding in our community. Should all be buying and holding in our community. But if you are just getting started in buying rental properties, if you're in the middle of buying rental properties, or you are already buying rental, have a portfolio, want to continue to add to it, this message is to every single one of you. This is the lessons that we've learned, and these are just some of the lessons that we have come up with in like the 10 years. There's going to be many more lessons to be learned here. Isn't that right, Dave?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, it's an ongoing thing. And the key to success and longevity in this business or any business is persevering. It's persevering through the inevitable challenges that you will experience. And that is life. And I believe on a higher level, we actually choose, we embrace our higher self actually embraces the challenges, because that's where we learn. That's what we're here to do, is to grow, evolve, and all personal growth and personal development comes from overcoming challenges. So the sooner you can begin to embrace these challenges, but most importantly, persevere and make it through these challenges, you are on your path to success.
Here, just had a little challenge right there.
There you go, everybody.
That's like I was saying. We're in Nashville right now for an event, actually. So we're not in our, as you see in the backgrounds, we're in hotels today. But today's live stream is very important, especially if you guys are buying and holding.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, on YouTube or Facebook, or wherever you're watching this live, definitely let me know where you are at or coming from. If you're in Ohio, I'd love to connect with you. If you're just starting out or have rental properties, let's connect. We do these live streams to teach you lessons that we've learned and are continue to learn. For the, I think we've been buying rentals now for, almost 10 years here, 10 years. Probably a little bit more than 10 years. So we've learned a lot of lessons, and these are just our lessons and our preferences. And so we just want to share it today. So take notes. Right now, the current portfolio is probably north of like 300 and some change. But we're getting ready to make some changes with that. And we're going to kind of let you know kind of our lessons in what we're going to share today. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. My first share, and I'm going to share this, my screen, is in regards to C properties. Okay. Now bear with me here. C properties. Okay. What are C properties? So in the beginning, when Dave and I started this, the private money that we had raised, okay, because you're going to have to raise private capital, right? Was from individuals that were in our buyers, from our buyers. That's actually Dave's connection, right? And they were on his buyers list. They're out of Arizona. And I mean, we were probably in our late 20s, maybe early 30s or something like that. And we're young guys. We look young, and we sound young over the phone. But one thing that Dave had was a little bit of that connection with this, buyer who ended up turning into a private lender. And they're still lenders to this day with us, right? So it was it was our first like really big, strong raise. And they took a chance with us. The terms were very much in their favor, but it also worked for us because guess what? We had zero experience in doing this with a private lender. Like I had some experience, but it was only flipping. We were talking about buying and holding. And so what we had to do was we had to take those terms and that arrangement and invest in, what we can kind of consider now as like C property. So a C property or C area, a C class area is in like a transitioning area. There's still kind of it's high rental area. Um, there's you'll see rents anywhere from back then. It was like 600 to like 850. Those rents now have gone up, but it's still like 900 to like 1200. So if you're in your area right now and looking at rents, certain rents, if you see rents very, very low, 500 or 600 a month, even 700 a month, you're probably in a C area or even less than that. Because when you start to invest outside, kind of closer to the suburbs, your rents are going to be substantially higher, 1,500 to like 2,500 in some cases. So we had to kind of stick our private capital in these, C areas because it cash flowed better. But what we've found is that in the C properties, a lot more maintenance, a lot more turnover. We were freaking busy kicking people out, leases. Like it was a pretty busy stretch for us. So it's, in the beginning, if you have to be in C areas to make the numbers work for your private lender and your finances, just know that it's going to be pretty management intensive. Dave?
That's, I think it's common to start in these C areas. When I first started out in Arizona, I was driving around and looking for boarded up and neglected properties, which I still to this day encourage all of us to do. We should all be looking for neglected property and tracking down the owner and making offers consistently. But that's really how I got my start, was driving for dollars. And where are you going to find the neglected houses, or at least a plethora of them, is going to be those C class areas. So it provides more opportunities, I feel, to kind of get your low offers accepted and get in the game. It's you can kind of, I feel, get in the game for lower price points, and there's more opportunities and I guess more inventory, I would say, or more opportunities to find these lower end homes that have equity to allow you to do successful real estate deals. But the biggest caveat, again, is going to be management intensive. Like RJ said, that's the biggest downside. And more risk, when you're fixing up these properties, there's more risk of theft, more risk of vandalism, and then the management side of it after the property is occupied. Typically, you're dealing with people who just don't care as much. There's less ownership mentality in the area, and something to consider is looking into the Section 8 program. We're very bullish on the Section 8 program for these C areas, and actually C plus and B areas as well. But that's something to consider with that particular area.
Yeah. So if you're going to be in C properties, just know that it does have a better ROI, but really it's a lot of maintenance turnover. Next one is, do not skip over these during the rehab because it's going to lead to headaches. Hot water tank or a water tank. I like calling it hot water tank. It's some plumbers like, you mean just a water tank, right?
I call it a hot water tank too. We've always
Furnace.
been, I don't know
Yeah,
why.
right.
Ohio.
Furnace and AC. So like put yourselves in your resident's shoes. You got to have hot water that's working. You got to make sure, if you already have, if you buy a property and you think the water tank is salvageable, right? Get it serviced. Make sure that it is working, right? And then double check right before they move in. Have a checklist. In that checklist, check hot water, check cold water, and also check the pressure. Same thing with the furnace and AC. Residents want to be comfortable. Anymore, these are must-haves in your rental properties. I don't care who you are, because you got to be comfortable. Put yourself in their shoes. All the plumbing checks. Do the under the bathroom sink, kitchen sink, in the basement. Check it all. So because that's the number one phone call you're gonna get in maintenance. And number two is windows. You got to be able to make sure that you open and shut and lock windows for safety. And then open and shut doors, lock doors, right? Bedrooms, bathrooms, especially, like, people want their privacy. These are just some of the things. Don't skip out on these during the rehab. We've learned the hard way. We've done. I mean, we what we'll do is if we are putting it out there for something like that's like rent to own or something like that, we disclaim like, hey, you got to do this work in there. It's gonna need work. So if you can't do the work, just don't even apply. But this is a big lesson that we learned. Dave, you have anything else to add on this?
Just wanted to add in roofs. It's not that much to do a roof, but a leaky roof is going to cause water damage. Water is not good for a property. Any leaks, anything water related is going to continue to cause damage. So, handle the roof up front. And then I just wanted to say, elimination. So anything that's not specifically needed to pass a Section 8 inspection or to pass an inspection, just remove it completely from this particular property. For instance, screen doors, it's not necessary. Screen doors are just going to cause maintenance calls. It's going to end up breaking. The hinges are going to get ripped out, and it's just going to be an eyesore on the external of the property, and it's just not needed. Another example is garbage disposals. Somebody's going to throw chicken bones down there. Somebody's going to get it clogged. It's just not needed to get the property rented or to pass an inspection. So, don't skip over these things, but then also don't even put unnecessary things in there. It's just going to be a maintenance call down the road.
Dave, I'll let you take the next one. You can see my screen, right? What do you think of
Sure.
this?
So I learned this at a very young age, or young in my career, I should say. And I learned this, I believe, from Steve Eifler. He is a old mentor of mine, and he basically, and I don't think we've ever done this, RJ. I think we learned that lesson from a mentor, and we've never rented to friends and family. But we have in our community and coached people who have rented to friends and family, and more commonly, we've bought properties from motivated sellers who rented a property to their family member, and now they don't want to be the bad guy or bad gal and actually evict the person. So they call us to buy the property for cash. Some of the best deals we've ever acquired have come from tired landlords who rented to their friends and family. And the whole purpose behind us advising not to do that is more commonly, it's going to create any type of financial relationship that intertwines with your personal relationship tends to get a little bit murky. The waters get a little bit murky. So, you don't want to rent to somebody in your family, then they stop paying, and now you have to be the bad person to get them removed. And now you are a motivated seller. Now you're the one calling us and saying, please help me through the situation. I have to see this person at Christmas dinner. I don't want to be the one to evict them. So it's best, in our opinion and experience, to just avoid renting to friends and family altogether.
Yeah, I mean, I just had even for like Airbnbs and midterms, it just doesn't. You can't mix that together, right? So, it's a business. Treat it like one. Draw the fine line. Refer them out to your friends that are landlords. Do it that way. That's what we do. Trust me, this is our stance. But look, if you want to do it, again, we're just sharing our experience, and that's all we can do here. If you're kind of pressed to do it, just know there's the awkward conversation of when things go bad. We just opt out of that. These next two things, always have application fees and collect an upfront deposit. Let me speak on this, and I'll get Dave's his comments on here. But like, you want to make sure that your residents have money. Like, even if you're doing collection, if you're collecting for renting to Section 8, they got to have some money to pay for an application fee. They got to have skin in the game to get because it's skin in the game, right? When somebody's invested in putting their application, they know that, look, I'm serious about going into your home, but they also have skin in the game. Like we typically have never had a good experience with a resident that was complaining about the deposit, complaining about an application fee, because we sniff out the entitlement mentality. And
It's true.
I'm telling you, if you don't, if you want to stay in this game for a long time, because there's staying power, there's all this appreciation and all the cash out refinances and a little bit of cash flow that you get from these. So you got to accumulate a lot of doors to get some substantial cash flow. It is going to be, I'm telling you, the best experience to do all this and your people's experience is to do this. Application fees. Be up, like totally don't let this one slide. And then the upfront, the deposit. Now they got skin in the game. Now they're not gonna. I mean, like to be honest with you, that deposit isn't even gonna cover the turn cost.
No.
It covers a little bit of it. But guess what? Any little bit of that helps when you are uh, trying to, trying to get each unit profitable and maintained. Okay. You have anything else to add on this, Dave?
Just not only is it going to kind of up the caliber of the person applying to live, but it's going to save you work. I mean, if you just make this a free for all and open the floodgates, now you're kind of like having to analyze all these applications, and less is more, right? I'd rather have 3 moderately potential applications that look good than 50 applications that I have to go through and figure out what's what. So less is more. I'd take quality over quantity, and this is just a way to up that application. And don't negotiate the deposit either. If somebody's got, if your deposit's $1,500 and they got $1,000 today, but they promise they'll get you the extra $500 in the next 3 days, I wouldn't do it. I would wait till they have all the money, because if you begin to negotiate from day one, they haven't even moved in the property and they're already kind of working a deal with you. It's just not good. So stick to your guns, make sure they pay the entire deposit, charge an application fee to improve the quality of the applicants.
All right, I'll let you take this one first, and
Yeah.
I'll make a comment.
Pets will destroy your homes. Either have a good policy or don't allow them. Yeah, I agree. I love animals and I love dogs, and I have a dog, and my old dog came from a crack house that we bought.
Chloe was a beast. She
Chloe
was
was our
awesome, man.
baby. I still think about her almost every single day. This dog was my ride or die. I
Yeah.
have a new dog now, but just it's not the same energy as the my old dog. But hey, I love animals. So does RJ. But when it comes
Yeah.
to your properties, again, we're running this like a business. It's not what we like and love. It's about sustaining our business and property and maintaining these properties. So I think cats are going to probably cause less potential damage, but cats will still piss all over the place. We've all
Yep.
watched Hoarders, these cat people. It's a weird mentality of these like cat people. So I think, to be on the safe side, just don't even allow them to be. Don't allow pets.
So there's going to be costs in cleaning up if you have carpet, even if you have hardwood floors.
Yeah,
There's still that smell that animals leave, especially cats and dogs. And I've got 2 dogs, so like when I go back home, right? I know like, oh yeah, like we have dogs. Like that smell. It's gonna be an investment to, you can use like like there's some bio stuff that you can buy, some spray or whatever that gets that out. Um, so what we do is, if we feel like this is gonna be a good resident and they need to have their dogs, we have a pretty high pet deposit, anywhere from 200 to 300. Then it's $30 per property per month, because at the end of their lease, our minimum is 12 months. We're going to use some of that to go in and clean all of that out, and it's going to be an investment. So that's our stance. And then some we just don't allow. Like there's certain breeds of pets that you just can't. You're not going to do that. For example, like if someone is collecting or breeding snakes in our property, it's just you can't do that. Like we're not doing that. We're saying we're saying no to that. We actually were in a house. I guess there was like a snake breeder with rats everywhere. Remember
yeah,
that one? That's
I do.
crazy.
I do. Well,
right?
he was a snake breeder. He had a lot of exotic snakes. It was really actually kind of awesome to see these things. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to live there or be around it, but it was cool to see. It was like a zoo. But he had so many snakes that he decided to breed his own rats in the basement. He had a whole
Okay,
rat
that's what it was.
community,
Yeah.
so to save him money and feed these snakes. So to each their own, just not in your rentals.
No. Here you go, Dave. I'll let you
Sure.
take this on, and then I'll
Absolutely. I
talk
was
about.
thinking about this. And in fact, I have this in my notes as well. My notes are very similar today's, but know your bank loan products and know your bank loan products well and often check in to see what has changed. So, really, the main components of this thing. And by the way, everybody, when we first started this, RJ and I didn't even know about refis. We didn't know anything. We learned from doing. We literally learned from doing. But I've done YouTube videos on this before. You can go back and check out our videos. We're always talking about it because it's so important to know. Really, what you want to know is loan to value is a big one. So a loan, when it comes to a loan product, you want to know what is the loan to value. So typically you're going to see 75% is the loan to value. Interest rate is important. Everybody knows interest rate, and when you're first getting started, you want to call a broker and, ooh, what are your rates? It's not really a negotiable thing. Most brokers and people providing loans, it's all the same because they're all getting their money from the Treasury, which comes from the Fed. It's like the rates are kind of set. I mean, maybe it's a little bit negotiable if they're working their fees into the interest rate, but don't even worry about that so much. It's going to be relatively the same regardless of who you work with. Most important things though is like loan to value. 75% is really what you're going to see out there. And prepayment penalties, a typical prepayment penalty setup. In fact, we just refinanced 7 properties this week, and it's the same thing. It is a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 step down prepayment penalty. So essentially, in your first year, if you were to pay this loan back in your first year, you would have to pay a 5% prepayment penalty. If you paid it back in your second year, it would be a 4%. Third year would be 3. Fourth year would be 2. Fifth year would be 1, because the lender wants to keep this money in place for at least 5 years. In fact, a lender wants to keep these interest payments and whatnot going. They don't want to get paid back right away. That's why they work in a prepayment penalty. So really the main things to consider is the loan to value, interest rate, prepayment penalty. The last thing is like DSCR. The lender just wants to make sure that the rent is more than enough to cover the new interest payment. And those are pretty much the main components of knowing your finance products. And here's the last thing, RJ, is you want to work with somebody. It's not about like trying to shop around to find really the best deal, because most deals are going to be the same. Most loans are going to be extremely similar, but work with somebody who can get the deal done and work with somebody who's easy to work with. That ease of relationship is going to be the key to adding this person to your power team here.
And when you say the prepayment penalty 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, so it's 5% of the actual loan.
Loans. Yeah.
So you want to take 5, like for example, like I don't know, maybe you're in a market where the appreciation is just really good and you want to sell the year later, or you have to sell, something happened, you got to sell this one. It's the loan amount that's on your paperwork. The loan amount, let's just say it's 100. Okay. It's 5% of that. So 5% of 100 is, who knows? What is it? 5 grand, maybe 500. So that's that's what he meant by that. So the next year it's 4%, 3, 2, 1% of the actual loan amount. All right. And then, yeah, so, and you were mentioning DSCR, which stands for debt service coverage ratio. Give an example, Dave,
Sure.
of that.
So most lenders want to see a 1.25% debt service coverage ratio. Sounds like a mouthful of words. It's extremely simple though. 1.25% would be if your mortgage payment is $1,000 on this refi loan that they're giving you. They want to see so times your mortgage payment by 1.25%. and that should be the minimum rent. So if your mortgage payment is going to be $1,000, they want to see at least a 1250 rent. So you take your new mortgage payment with this lender, times it by 1.25%, and the rent should at least be that amount. And they'll tell you right away. I mean, when you fill out your little application or submit this, to start talking about this loan with the broker, they're going to tell you right away if you're not even in the ballpark for a DSCR. And typically that you're going to see this thing fall out of the ballpark if the balance is super high. So if it's like a $400,000 house that's rented for $1,500 a month, it's never going to pass. The
Yeah.
affordable housing stuff is your best bet because you're not going to run into any issues with DSCR.
Best bang for your buck as well. So for your investment. Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to go right into the next one, which is you want to create alignments with your neighbors. You never know who you talk to because the thing is when you buy a rental property and, so we buy in our backyard, right? So we're in Columbus, but not afraid to drive to like Dayton or Cincy and, Cincinnati to just take a look at the properties in person. But when you're there, if you create alignments with your neighbor and just introduce to them, even if they're like, "Man, you guys bought that house? Oh, that's a piece of shit." I'm like, "Well, that's what we're here to do. We're here to fix it and then put somebody in here that's going to take care of it, just like you've done with your home. Even if if it's obvious that they don't take care of their home and it's like really bad, but just you always want to be the nice guy, and then because here's what's going to happen. Like we've actually been able to with neighbors get deals from them. So, oh, I know somebody else on this street that is looking to sell, and we go and buy the other house, right? Or you get people that really will watch your house when because when you buy it, there's going to be that like period for like hopefully construction gets there in day one, but there's going to be days like the weekends when construction typically is not working, or there's going to be days where no one's even there. They can watch over your house. Dave, anything else to add on this?
It's pretty self-explanatory, but it's better to have friends than enemies. Your neighbors can be your best friends and allies, or they could be your worst nightmare. We've dealt with the opposite. We've dealt with shitty neighbors who dump their trash all over our yard and things of that nature. So create allies, make friends with your neighbors, and it'll serve you in your business for sure.
And so here's another thing. Where did I go? This is good right here. Never be the owner, always the property manager and
Yes.
contractor. I'll let you take that, Dave.
Yeah, that came from an old mentor as well. Probably the same guy that said never rent to your friends and family. And when you're dealing with your residents, you don't want to really position yourself as the owner because then they're going to want to negotiate with you. They're going to know that you can kind of pull some strings and, work out payment plans and things like that. So instead, just say you work for the owner and you're the on-duty manager. That's all it is. In fact, my old mentor who taught us that, he had business cards made up of that like he was a property manager. He was the owner, but it says just property manager. I'm the manager. So therefore, when somebody wants to negotiate, you can kind of play good cop, bad cop. You're the good cop. Say, I'm going to do everything I can for you. But the investors, the owners, the people I work for are not really lenient on this kind of thing. So they got to charge you late fees. They're going to serve you a notice. So this way you can kind of abide by the rules that you're looking to enforce and not really be the bad guy or gal.
Yeah, it's worked in our favor so many times of creating that separation between you and having this higher authority versus then being the higher authority. So this is key. It's helped us get through some tricky situations before, and also allowed us to get some really good deals before. Like it happens in our sales department too. We have the underwriting department, right? So, but let's continue here. Next one is careful on taking on partners. So let me speak on this, and Dave, you can chime in too. So we've just we're not to get into too much of our stuff, but we're in a situation where there was a partnership that Dave and I got involved in, and it just didn't work out. And there were signs before we actually got into this deal,
And we're still
which
involved. It's still
made us,
lingering. It's still, yeah, unfortunately.
which we should have watched the signals, right? Um, because we would have been able to get out further along in the very beginning than this. So I put this down in here. So before you get into a partnership, you got to think. These are two things. Like, one is this going to really be beneficial for the long term, or is it just like a short term thing, right? Because if it's a short term thing, then it's probably either a position in your company that needs to be hired for, or it's not gonna be beneficial as a whole for the long term. So it should set off a red flag, and just it's probably not a good idea to take on a partner, right? So some of the things that um, I know now moving forward is that you gotta check for references outside of, you know, the current like real estate space. So I would run background check. I would,
Hell yeah.
so you,
Absolutely.
you gotta you gotta check in and see who you're gonna be dealing with, because if you find out, and like I'm not telling like, oh, you gotta go private eye stuff. No, everything's kind of public record. You can check in and see if they got records in the Clerk County courts, if they got lawsuits against them, because what you're looking for is somebody that is going to be truthful and honest. And really, I mean, also too, when you're doing your background checks, you want to see if there was like, talk to like people in the industry. If there's any disagreements, what happened? Like, were they able to solve it together? Was it amicable? Like, that stuff kind of matters, because what you're really finding is seeing how well they deal with stress. Super important, because when you're in a partnership, shit will go bad. Stuff goes on with Dave and I, it goes bad. And it's like our ability to handle that stress together as a unit is their staying power, and then it like keeps you. You got to know if they're like resourceful, and so if they don't handle stress well, and then you kind of like hear from other people like, oh, they were just a nightmare to work with. Well, they're going to be a nightmare to work with in this partnership. So you got to be careful. That's like, you know, checking their background, doing a little bit of digging around, asking for like referrals, not just going, head on. Because entrepreneurs, like, we like to act quick. But so you got to be careful with who you take on as partners. Dave, do you have anything else to add on this?
We come to these real estate conferences. We've been coming to mastermind groups. We have our own community for that matter. We do our own events, and it's a lot of people get excited. Like RJ said, entrepreneurs get excited and they want to act fast, and that's totally normal. But there's also a saying out there. It's like big hat, no cattle. Sometimes people talk a huge game. This is just in life, not just in real estate. They kind
Yeah.
of gloat, or they kind of like are very, they just lie. They talk a big game, but they don't actually do it. They talk about it, but not be about it. And if you kind of get sucked into that and you believe it, you could kind of fall into a partnership that's not really going to be good. And the last thing is, we've never really seen a partnership work out where one guy's the money guy, the other person's the operator, because the operator is going to get burned out and end up not wanting to be in this relationship anymore. If you're giving up 50% of your upside and 50% of your equity and profit, but doing all the work, and then you just have one person who's just the money person, maybe that's a way to get started when you're a solopreneur. But as this thing grows, and now you're managing people and you're managing all the properties and managing all the rehabs, sure, you got a money guy, but there's a lot of sources of money out there. You don't need to give up 50% of the business to this money person. You can very easily find lenders who will just take 10 to 12% interests. You give up zero equity. That's the way you do it.
Yep. Yep. Good share. So again, be careful. Sometimes you don't need a partner, you just need a connection. Sometimes it doesn't need to be for many, many years of partner. It could just be a deal by deal basis. But be careful in taking on partners, and then management in house. This is key. So let me just speak on this, and Dave, I'll throw it back to you. Your management eventually has to become in house. You might need to, in the beginning, as you are buying rentals and you're trying to get income through the door in your rental properties and create some cash flow in order to keep it stabilized and be profitable. You might need to work with a third party. Just be very upfront with them and let them know, like, hey, we need some help. I need some help into getting this thing sustainable. But eventually I'm going to be bringing this in-house. Just be upfront. But the reason why you want management in-house is because right up here, one of the reasons, right up here, when you know your bank loan products well, when you do the cash out refinance and you're starting to now pay mortgages, you want to be in control of your money at all times because you want to make sure you can pay those mortgages when you need to pay them. Rents come in, our rents come in every, first, second, and third. And so typically we're paying mortgages after the rents hit. You want to be in control of that money. When you're a third party, they typically sometimes, because they have their systems, you're not the only client. They'll have their system of, maybe, for example, rent comes in on the first week, but they can't release it because of their accounting and all the accounting that they got to do until the end of the month. So yeah, it's possible to go and call your, lender, your institution, and say, hey, can I move that around? Yeah, it's possible, but sometimes they won't. And you want to be in control of your money so that you can make your lender pays on time. That's for private lenders and bank notes as well. You'll be in control of your money. Yeah. Dave, do you want to add another one?
Anytime you're putting anything in between you and the actual money, there's going to be some hurdles. Sometimes, again, it is necessary when you're in growth mode and you don't have an internal team to support in-house management. Sometimes you have to rely on business-to-business relationships. It's in any business, if you're in a supply business, sometimes you got to rely on vendors, can't work directly with the manufacturer, right? Sometimes you got to, there's hurdles sometimes between you and the product and you and the money. And the sooner you could get it in-house, the better. And I encourage anyone, if you're just getting started, to manage it yourself, earn your stripes, get out there and do it. You're going to learn a ton of valuable lessons. That's how we started this live stream, was talking about the lessons we continue to learn. And you got to put yourself in that environment. Is it going to go smoothly and perfect? Definitely not. However, the faster you could overcome adversity, the faster you'll grow and be able to do more, be more, have more. So yeah, in-house management is really going to be necessary. I don't care if you have 5 units or 1,000 units. It's going to serve you well to understand that side of the business and then just be in control of the money.
Dave, in your notes that you took down, is there any notes that you want to share that we didn't go over?
Well, I did have a note here to let you all know something that we heard here at this conference, but we kind of already knew this, and it's important for us to regurgitate this to you all. Millionaires and billionaires are created through equity. It's going to come from you owning assets, right? It's not going to, you can't save your way, or you can't have a wholesaling business to become a multimillionaire. It's what you do with the money that you generate in a wholesaling business, right? You got to invest that money, and a great place to invest that money is into rental properties, right? For all the reasons, right, that we talk about on every single week, it seems like. So millionaires and billionaires are created through equity in real estate and businesses, equity in ownership. However, you can't eat equity. So you got to keep the cash flow coming in too. It's this balance, right? You want to create as much cash flow as you can to obviously survive and keep food on your table, but it's what you do with that cash flow that's going to make you a millionaire or a billionaire. So you got to own assets. And I just wanted to reiterate that because that's like foundational knowledge to what we do.
Yeah, that's very good that you shared that. It's true. If you just have like a cash grab, which is the flipping, fix and flipping, and um, you gotta you gotta you gotta invest in assets. Why not do it in real estate? These I mean, rents have gone up. I know that insurance and property taxes have gone up too, but property values have gone up. So it's like if you buy real estate now aggressively for the next 5 years, you're gonna really think yourself, you know, year 6, 7, and 8. Like we've got rental properties that we just did a refinance on, and one of them, a real nice area, just appreciated for probably over 100K, 200 something, and it got appraised for over 300. It's like it's amazing, you know. And so yeah, does the payment go up? Yeah, but the rents are where they need to be to cover the payment. So all that appreciation, all those tax benefits, all that stuff, that's where that's what we're talking about here, generational wealth. Like it just compounds and compounds, and you get all these benefits. So put your cash that you're using from fixing and flipping into rental properties, and continue to do what we do. These are just some of the lessons that we've learned that we highlighted here. There's plenty more that this just came to mind here in the last 2 or 3 days. Me just thinking, I'm like, you know what can we share to give you guys some good insight going into either scaling into a rental portfolio, whether it's houses or multifamily, whatever it is. So I'm gonna leave some time for some Q&A. If you guys have any, wherever you guys seeing this live, I'm going to check in and see if there's any questions on these social platforms, but you can actually just in the chat, I believe there's a chat somewhere that you're seeing this, just type in your questions about the lessons that we shared today. And if not, been good hanging out. You see any questions, Dave? Let me
I
look.
do not. You know what we're gonna do though, RJ, and we're gonna start promoting our live streams on just a titch better, because our stuff is good. Like what we just went through right now. If somebody would have told us and taught us this when we were first getting started, it's just such valuable, real street smart, real boots on the ground knowledge. And I mean, I love that we have the opportunity to provide this info and this content. And I just think more people need to hear it because I know we needed it. I'm speaking to my younger self, right? When I'm like listening to this and talking about this stuff, this is all information that is just much needed, especially to people who are just maybe getting started in the rental property game, or maybe they got 5 units and they're looking to scale up to 20. It's like, this is such valid info. So, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to helping people on their path.
Yeah, guys, connect with us on IG. I'm most active there. Dave is too on Facebook as well. If you guys need any help with anything, we got a coaching platform. Hit us up if you are interested in that. But it's been a great live. These live streams are great. We're gonna have another subject next week. I might even bring a special guest on. But I'm excited. We're here in Nashville. I'm excited to get back in the room actually and network with people because there's some good presentations today. So until next time, y'all, we'll see you in the next live stream.
Bye, guys.